flu, something like that. They think of something you can see and feel acutely, right? But chronic systemic inflammation is completely different. It is low grade, constant, invisible, and it is devastating to your body over time. Think of it as like a slow burning fire in your cells. You can't see it. And your regular blood work doesn't catch it because standard labs don't include the right inflammatory markers, but it is quietly burning up your energy, disrupting your hormones, damaging your gut lining, affecting your brain function, and driving weight gain, especially around the midsection. What causes chronic inflammation in high achieving women? That's the question you're asking. What is it specifically? Well, the list is pretty long, but things like chronic stress, sleep deprivation, processed foods, gut dysbiosis, environmental toxins, and yes, hormonal imbalance often triggers inflammation itself. These things feed each other, okay? They're interconnected. Here's something I tell my clients all the time: you're not lazy, you're not undisciplined, you are inflamed. And an inflamed body does not respond to willpower. It responds to the right interventions. Now, when we run a proper inflammatory panels like high sensitivity CRP, homocysteine, ferritin, and others, we almost always find elevated markers in the women who come to see me. Women whose previous doctors ran normal labs because they weren't running the right labs. Okay? Now, chronic inflammation is root cause number 2. And until we address it directly, everything else you do for your health it will be less effective. Okay. Number 3. This is a big one: insulin resistance and metabolic dysfunction. This is root cause number 3. And it surprises a lot of women. Okay. Insulin resistance. I need you to understand something so that you're crystal clear. You do not have to be diabetic. You do not have to have a blood sugar problem that shows up on standard labs. You can have significant insulin resistance and have a perfectly normal fasting glucose and a perfectly normal A1C and still have your metabolism completely stuck. Insulin resistance is when your cells stop responding efficiently to insulin. Insulin is the hormone that allows glucose or sugar to enter your cells for energy. Now, when your cells become resistant to that signal, your pancreas just makes more insulin to compensate. And high circulating insulin is one of the most powerful drivers of fat storage, especially abdominal fat, and one of the biggest reasons that diet and exercise alone stop working. Here's the kicker: estrogen helps maintain insulin sensitivity. So, as estrogen fluctuates and declines during perimenopause, your risk of developing insulin resistance goes up significantly. And this is why so many women hit their 40s, start doing everything right, eating the same way they always did, right? Exercising, and the weight won't move. It's not a character flaw. It is a hormonal and metabolic shift that your approach has not accounted for. See, we catch insulin resistance through the right labs, fasting insulin levels, not just fasting glucose, homo IR calculations, and other markers that look at function, not just thresholds. Got it? This is root cause number 3, and it is one of the most treatable and the most transformative things we address in my program. Okay? Root cause number 4. This is this is hitting women hard. Cortisol dysregulation. Now, I like to call this one the executive's Achilles heel. And if you're a CEO, a senior leader, or a high achiever of any kind, this is the one for you. Okay? Cortisol is your primary stress hormone. It's produced by your adrenal glands, and it's designed to help you respond to acute stress, fight or flight response. In short bursts, it's life saving. The problem is, your body can't distinguish between running from a lion and sitting in a board meeting knowing you got 3 deadlines, a difficult conversation, a sick parent, and a team in crisis. To your adrenal glands, stress is stress. Okay? And when you've been in high stress mode for years, which many of you have, your HPA axis, which is your hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, the stress response system, becomes dysregulated. Now, and you might swing between cortisol that's too high, you're wired and tired, you're anxious, you can't sleep, your weight piling on around your midsection, blood sugar swings, or cortisol is too low. You are completely flat. No motivation. Crushing fatigue that coffee cannot touch. And here is the particular cruel part. This sucks. Cortisol dysregulation interferes with every other hormone in your body. It suppresses progesterone. That's why you can't sleep. It interferes with thyroid hormone conversion. It drives insulin resistance. It increases inflammatory markers. Cortisol dysregulation doesn't show up on standard blood work. You need a 4-point salivary or Dutch urine test to see what your cortisol is actually doing throughout the day. And most conventional providers don't order this. I always do. This is root cause number 4. Okay. Number 5. Thyroid dysfunction. Okay. Root cause number 5 is the one I believe is the single most missed diagnosis in women over 45. It's thyroid dysfunction. The thyroid is the small butterfly shaped gland at the base of your neck, right here. And it controls literally everything. Controls your metabolism, like everything. Your energy production, your weight, your body temperature, your heart rate, your cognitive function, your mood, your GI motility, like everything. Everything goes through the thyroid. Here is the problem. The standard of care for thyroid testing is to check a TSH, that's thyroid stimulating hormone. And if it's within normal range, you're told your thyroid is fine. But the thyroid is a pituitary hormone. The pituitary is in your brain. It tells you what the pituitary is asking for, not what your thyroid is actually delivering. And to understand thyroid function, you need a free T3, a free T4, a reverse T3, and thyroid antibodies like TPO and TGAB, which check for Hashimoto's thyroiditis, the most common cause of hypothyroidism, which is autoimmune. Okay? Cannot tell you how many women I've seen who were told for years that their thyroid is normal based on TSH alone, while they're walking around with subclinical hypothyroidism, or early stage Hashimoto's. That is absolutely driving their symptoms. And when we do comprehensive thyroid panels, we often find it. And when we treat it properly, which is not always just a prescription, by the way, okay, the transformation is remarkable. This, my friend, is root cause number 5. Now I'm going to let this sit with you. See which ones you have. You probably have about 3 of them. Okay. Now, let me summarize this for you. 5 root causes. Number 1, hormonal imbalance. 2, chronic inflammation. 3, insulin resistance. 4, cortisol dysregulation. And 5, thyroid dysfunction.